Long ago, in a remote mountain village in China, there lived a man named Chang-Fa. His hair flowed all the way to his waist, and everyone knew him as long-haired Chang. While others hid indoors when storms swept the mountains, Chang-Fa would march into the rain to inspect the wooden dam that held back the lake. He knew that if the dam ever broke, the village would be swallowed whole. One monsoon night, thunder cracked across the peaks and rain stung his skin like needles. As Chang-Fa made his way toward the dam, he saw a young woman standing by the lake. She wore shimmering blue silk and carried a delicate parasol. Fixing her eyes on him, she whispered, "Chang-Fa, don't face this storm alone. Come, take shelter with me." For a heartbeat, her beauty silenced the storm. Chang-Fa felt himself drawn toward her, but then he stopped. The rain plastered his long hair to his chest, and suspicion gripped him. No woman in this village owns silks like that. And who would wander here in a storm like this? She isn't human. She's a spirit. He stepped back. Her smile widened unnaturally, teeth flashing in the lightning. A hollow laugh rolled from her throat, echoing louder than the thunder. Chang-Fa's heart pounded as he turned and scrambled up the slope toward the dam. When he looked back, the woman's body was already changing. Her silks tore into shreds, her parasol collapsed into the mud and spread into lotus leaves. Her skin swelled and split, coarse fur pushing through. Her eyes glowed like lanterns beneath dark water. Her teeth lengthened, dripping foul black liquid into the earth. Before him rose a monstrous beaver, larger than an ox, its eyes burning with malice. It turned toward the dam and sank its teeth into the wooden beams. The sound was hideous, like the snapping of giant bones. With each bite, the dam groaned, and the lake answered with a terrible chorus. The moans were not water, they were voices, the voices of those who had drowned in floods long ago. Their cries rose with every splintered log, as though the demon's teeth were tearing open the graves of the drowned. For a moment, Chang-Fa froze. His sword trembled in his hand. Should he charge the beast alone, or risk precious time to rally the villagers? The storm howled around him. The dam shuddered beneath his feet, and the ghostly cries clawed at his mind. He closed his eyes and remembered the tales his ancestors had passed down. When the waters rise, a guardian must rise with them. His heart pounded, but he knew he could not stand alone. If the dam fell, only unity could save them. With a final glance at the snarling demon, he turned and sprinted back toward the village, rain and mud splashing under his feet, thunder chasing him like war drums. Chang-Fa burst into the village square, shouting above the storm, "A demon beaver is chewing through the dam. If we do nothing, the waters will take us all." But the villagers only laughed. One raised his wine guard with a sneer. "Long-haired Chang has been drinking too much again." Another jeered, "Always chasing shadows, always spinning tales. You see ghosts in the mist and monsters in the trees." A third spat into the mud and shook his head. "You speak of demons, but I think it is fear that rules you. Perhaps you would rather frighten us than face the storm yourself." Their words cut deeper than the rain. Laughter rippled through the crowd, echoing between the wooden homes, crueler than the thunder above. For the first time, Chang-Fa felt not only alone, but betrayed by the very people he sought to protect. Rage overtook him. Chang-Fa drew his sword. In one swift stroke, he cut off his waist-length hair and cast it into the mud. Gasps rippled through the crowd.
His hair had always been his pride, the mark by which they knew him. To sever it meant only one thing. "I have never lied to you. If I have given up my hair, then hear me. What I speak is true." Silence spread. The villagers' faces drained of color, and at last they followed him. Together they climbed toward the dam. Lightning split the sky, thunder rolling like drums of war. There, looming against the storm, was the demon beaver, its tail striking the earth with bone-shaking force. Some villagers nearly turned to flee. Then from the crowd came the cracked voice of the village elder, an ancient woman with eyes like dark glass. "Listen well. A creature born of wood can only be bound by fire and salt. Salt will burn its flesh, and fire will drive out its spirit." The villagers obeyed. They scattered salt across the beams, their hands trembling, and lifted their torches high. The demon bit down again, but the salt scorched its mouth. It shrieked, a sound twisted between beast and man, rage and agony woven together. Its tail slammed down, unleashing a wave of muddy water. In the surge, pale faces appeared, ghostly faces of the drowned, mouths open in eternal screams. The villagers collapsed in terror, but Chang-Fa stood unmoved. Blood and rain mingled on his face, his eyes hard as steel. He raised his sword. The moon broke through the clouds, silver light flashing along the blade. With a final cry, he leapt and struck the monster's skull. The beaver screamed, a sound that pierced the marrow of every living soul. Half howl, half dying breath, it shook the night. The lake erupted, frothing red, then fell silent. The demon sank into the depths and was never seen again. The storm broke. Moonlight spilled over the battered dam. The villagers dropped to their knees. "You have saved us. Let us make you a hat from the beaver's hide, so this victory will never be forgotten." But Chang-Fa shook his head. "No, that hat would only remind me of this night, and I will never grow my hair again. What matters is not my hair, but our faith." From that night on, Chang-Fa became a legend. The young men of the village grew their hair long in his honor, each carrying a blade at his side. And in time, a proverb was born. "One day, to save the dam, you may have to cut your hair." Generations passed, and even centuries later, the men of that village still let their hair grow long. When the storms returned, they stood at the edge of the lake, remembering Chang-Fa.